I shouldn't be talking much about haircuts. Yeah, I could do with one too. Yeah, I'm going for that biblical vibe just in case 2021 is the last year.
I was gonna say you can be like in one of those Bible movies, you know, that he
Yeah, yeah, the remix. um,
die on a donkey somewhere.
somewhere. Corona compadre, give a very, very warm welcome to the one and only. You've seen him before, the king of comedy and the color spectrum. Give it up for Schalk, the Bezuidenhout.
Lekker.
Okay, Schalk, how have you been, man? During this time, of course.
Yeah, man, been lekker. I mean, I can't complain about lockdown. I was keeping busy. I did some online shows. So yeah, I really have nothing to complain about. But yeah, it can end now. I'm over it now.
Aren't we all? Unfortunately, yeah. Unfortunately, Corona is not over it yet. Yeah. But
yeah, I know. I keep seeing things of like the vaccine, but I don't know what to believe anymore. You know, then I saw an article this morning that said there's some wonder drug, but for big pharma doesn't want you to know about it because it's so cheap. Then I heard, I don't know, the cure is Fanta grape, but they don't make it anymore. So now we can't heal ourselves. I don't know.
That's true. I heard now. Apparently, if we take the vaccine, it has the same side effects as taking a Panado. Yeah.
Same side effects.
Yeah.
You see, okay, then I shouldn't take it because the product gives me insane diarrhea.
Yeah. Apparently, the vaccine it solves that problem because then another side effect coupled with the diarrhea is that you have now more holes where the diarrhea comes out from. I don't know. Apparently.
Yeah, because you're gonna grow like an asshole on your forehead or something, you know.
Yeah. I mean, most people have assholes just under their nose, but forehead is a new one. I think it's something we'll get used to.
Yeah. So how you been?
I've been good. It's a bit cloudy, very overcast.
Yeah.
I don't know about by you. Are you in Joburg?
Yeah. But Mohammed, it's gonna be a very boring podcast if you're already starting to talk about the weather 4 minutes. 4 minutes in. Yeah, it's very cloudy, eh? How's it there by you? No, yeah, also cloudy. Hopefully it's going to be less cloudy tomorrow. Yeah, that would be nice. What do you think Wednesday is going to be like?
No, don't worry, Schalk. Don't worry. I like doing this so then I can just flip the switch on you, you know? Just like
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So with the first switch flip, I'm going to ask you my favorite question because I don't know the answer to this question. When did you start comedy?
I started comedy, well, there were sort of two different ones, but the first one I don't count. But I started comedy in 2010. I did a set at Wish in Melville, but yeah, it was horrible. I was in my school uniform, I don't know why, I thought it would be a cute gimmick. My favorite band is AC/DC, and Angus Young from AC/DC always performs in that school for you. So I thought, let's make it a cool gimmick. Anyway, it went terribly because I used to do stand-up in front of my school. So I couldn't make that transition from like inside jokes of people in the school to like making everyone laugh from all races and cultures and economic backgrounds and whatever. And I was there talking about like how shit end of year exams was in matric, and some people were like, I didn't even go to the matric. So yeah, it was it was interesting. And then after that, I kind of thought to myself, okay, well, I gave it a go. Try to stand up. It's not for me. But then in my first year, I did a general BA degree. It was very, I don't want to say boring. It's just like you've got a lot of time on your hands, because BA, maybe one or two classes a day. And I was like, oh, there's only so many episodes of Suits I can watch. And then I was looking for something to just like, not challenge myself, but like I was there to become an actor or to do drama. And I was like, what's the easiest way to get on stage? Like, you can't just walk into a play. You can't just walk into some stage production somewhere. And then I tried to stand up again, and this is like a long story which we don't have time for, but like basically there was a guy in third year that wanted to do a little comedy show on campus. And I was like, yeah, why not? I've got nothing better to do. And I went and I auditioned for it, and he's like, okay, cool, you're in my comedy show. And then as part of the warm-up for the campus comedy show, he got me a gig at Purple Turtle, which he was doing. He was the doorman at Purple Turtle. He would like, at the gigs on a Tuesday, he would, do the tickets at the door.
Yeah.
And he managed to get me in there, and I did a gig, and then that one went very well. And then there were some other comics, obviously, and they were like, hey, come do my gig here, come do this gig here. And then I started, doing the Cape Town circuit. Yeah. And then, everything just kind of went from there. Very traditional way of starting stand-up. Started as an open spot, upgraded to support, moved on to headline.
No. But the part that you don't count isn't very traditional. But before we get into that, I have a very important question. When you went there in your school uniform, was it khaki?
No, our school uniform was grey and navy. No, fuck, I wasn't in the RVB. I was just in the school, in the government school.
No, bruh, because the reason I asked that is because my uniform was khaki.
What school are you? What's fucking help my god?
I went to War School Zeres.
Where school Zeres? Eerlikheid. Okay, I don't. Where is Zeres? Let me Google here. Zeres. Hold on. Town in South Africa is a commercial town situated in oh shit! Sorry, I can't say this. Kaka. Wow, when it sounds like Kaka. Kaka Mudiri Mulema district in Northwest Province, approximately 240 kilometers northwest of Johannesburg. It lies on the N4, the main road link between South Africa and Botswana. Okay, cool. Zeres. Where school Zeres? I'm assuming there was not an English school in Zeres. There was just
yeah, as soon as you reach high school level, you had to go to War School. So there's like 3 schools in Zeres, high schools. So the ones in the location, which is the Tswana Medium School. Then there was the other school called the Combined School, and then the War School. And for some reason, I was sent to the War School. I think my parents made a mistake, but I got some Afrikaans out of it at least. So it wasn't all too bad. However, what I want to ask you, you said your first time you don't count. So I'm going to assume that means you were in school when you were doing that, right?
Well, yeah, I just finished matric. I just don't count it because, like, I really, I didn't know what I was doing. And, the second time was more like when I went on stage that second time, which I count more as the first time, it was more like, I felt like I was going on there with something, the first time, I think it was more just like a bucket list thing for me, because my focus was still very much like, no, I'm going to be an actor, I didn't mind that I didn't do well in stand-up, because I was like, that's not really what I want to do one day, I want to be an actor, but then, when I didn't get into my acting degree, I was like, oh, maybe I will try the stand-up thing again, more seriously. It's so funny because I never thought of myself as a comedian growing up, and now I can't picture myself as not a comedian,
Yeah. Bruh, to be honest, I can't picture you as not a comedian, Schalk. I mean, when
Yeah,
I think of Schalk Bezuidenhout, I see laughing in your hair and the mustache, but laughing.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's interesting, man. I find it quite interesting that you started sort of like with the school vibe because myself as well. Just like you, I have a first time that I don't count.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. The first time I don't count, I was in grade 4 and I saw stand up for the first time and I was like, let me be more concise with you. I saw my first stand up show ever. It was Trevor Noah, Daywalker 2. And I was like, I want to do this cock. And my dad wrote my jokes, bruh. That's why I don't count it.
Oh, yeah, you shouldn't count that. But still, you
Yeah,
did it.
exactly.
Was it in
That
front
was
of the
him.
class?
No, it was like in front of, it was for a concert. So like everybody, the parents were there, whatnot. It was, and I went in and I did a 5, and it went well. I mean, there's a videotape somewhere. I have to find it. One day when I'm famous, I'm gonna auction it.
Okay.
But
Well, that must have been because I've got the Xera's Wikipedia page open now. That must have been in Bezuidenhout Park, a small suburb, a small suburb named Bezuidenhout Park, which is commonly known as Zandvlakte, with a population of about 250 residents, a shop, a bar, Lutheran church, and a school. So it must have been there, hey?
Oh, it was actually at the military base. I shit you not. It was at the military base. However, Sunflactor, that's so cool you brought that up. I stay like literally opposite Sunflactor in Shalima Park, which is quite cool. Interesting. Schalk is just geographically analyzing Sierras.
If someone can take anything away from this podcast, the people watching and listening, is you will learn stuff about Xeris. I will keep throughout the interview, throughout the podcast, I will every now and then just give another interesting fact about Xeris. Like, for example, there are large cattle ranches in the area, as well as wheat, maize, tobacco, and citrus fruit farms. There are also fluorite and chromite mines in the vicinity, and tourism, oh shame, they say tourism is also a developing industry. You know what that means? That means, it's not really, still developing.
That was the part I was developing too into the story. So after this whole thing, my teacher, my English teacher, she came to me. She was the next day in school, and she was like, "Muhammad, come here." I don't know why she spoke in syllables, bruh, but she still speaks in syllables. She's the principal now. I was like, okay. I was in grade 4. Ma'am, what did I do? It's like, you always doing something, eh? Come here. And she took me to the grade 7 class and she was like, do your set class today. He's going to teach you how to do public speaking. So that was cool. And then the next time I did stand up, which is the time I count, I was 15 in high school. Also, like you say, the inside jokes and, you know, it's much easier when you're performing to like peers.
So have you done it, you have done it like at clubs and stuff before Corona?
Yeah. So before Corona, actually, funny enough, I had only performed thrice. So I did, my first time I performed like in the Joburg circuit, which I really count really as like the real first time, because it's like, you know, the level up, you see where it's at. I went to Poppy's, went well. I didn't know what I was getting into. I pitched up there. I pitched up there. I saw the whole nation wild. I was like, shit, you guys were on TV the other day. Now we here. Now we.
Well, you like those tannies who watch Binnenlanders who on 7 Laan, who like, but if you here, how are you gonna get to the hospital before 6:30? Because then you have to be on Binnenlanders. It's like, you know, this is shot for full tonight.
That was literally it. That was literally, I went to Eric, I was like, copper, bruh. Aren't you supposed to be on Siapandaland? We're on the wrong street. Let's move.
You got there to Poppies. You were on TV just before I got here. I was watching. How did you so quickly?
Yeah. Yeah. And I did that. I basically lied to Prince, well, sort of. He was like, have you done this before? I was like, yeah. But which wasn't a complete lie because I had, but not really. And it went well. It went well. I got Melville Comedy Club open mic spot on Sunday. And I didn't understand comedy at all back then, man. Like, so I went like a whole new set. And I caught a death, huh? I caught like I got Kong. They played the Undertaker music.
Oh shit!
Yo, it was rough. And plus,
I think I've also had that at.
Really?
Yeah.
It's great. Yeah.
I'm assuming that's where everyone goes to smoke weed. That just sounds like the spot where all the kids of Zeros, all the rebels of Zeros go smoke weed.
It's great. I don't know. There's too many spirits there. Too many spirits. There's a few graves, not just his. There's a couple of graves, you know.
There's also a grave in Melville where Muhammad Latif had his death pre-COVID. When Muhammad died there, there's a grave there.
Yeah. But you can't find my bones. Because on the night specifically, Schalk, there was only 3 open micers. I was second, I was horrible. And then the first was an open micer and then 10th. After me, it was just the big guys, you know, like some proper comics like Chandra, Dylan, Olifant, Suhail. And they came out there and they took my corpse and they tossed it around, you know. They regurgitated it. And shockingly, that made it easier to deal with. Yeah, what was your first bomb like?
My first gig went well, and I think the second one went even better. And then the third one, was there. But it was bad, but it's like I said, like it's almost like the quicker it happens, the better, you know? Because then the quicker you learn what that feels like and how to deal with it afterwards and on stage, the better, you know? And I can see it now in my comedy, like I don't panic so much anymore when I die on stage. Like it used to be like utter panic. You know, now you learn eventually to accept death as part of the job, you know. So you learn to eventually go, it's part of, you know, like it's actually it's like a sport, you know. It's like winning and losing, it's all part of the thing. But the sooner you learn how to deal with it, because you're supposed to feel cock after a death, you know. It's still a death, you know. It's still your passion and it's what you do. So obviously you have that drive to want to kill every time, and you need that drive. Like otherwise, you know, if you're kind of like, whether I kill or die, you know, you always have to walk on stage with that thing of like, killing is everything. You know? So you need that drive as a comedian, but you can't after every death, you know, go into like a massive flat spin and question your whole existence and why you do it and why am I even, you know, like that will happen initially, and then especially when you have a few deaths in a row. It's easy when you have a death and then the next gig again it's just like distraction, because then it's like, oh well, that was obviously like an isolated incident and that me and the crowd, we didn't gel that night and it's fine. But once you have like 3 deaths in a row, 4, 5, then it's like, whew, okay, what's going on? But Yeah, you need to learn how to deal with it, because otherwise it's gonna like chew you up and
Eat you.
spit you out. You know, it's gonna eat you. Yeah.
After your first death, did you take like a hiatus? I've noticed a lot of comics after their first death take hiatus. You know, they stop doing comedy for a month or two, and then they come back.
No, luckily I did have two good gigs before that, so I knew there was something. You know.
Okay.
Yeah. So in fact, I just wanted to get on stage as quick as possible, just to prove that that death was.
Okay, I understand that. I did a similar thing. So it was a Sunday I did Malvo. I went home. I didn't sleep until I saw a YouTube video of Russell Peters saying that he bombed in front of 30,000 for 3 hours straight and still got paid. Then I was like, I'll be alright. And I went the next day to Poppy's. Because I was coming back to Zeerust on the Tuesday to write my matric finals, and I was like, I can't go home with this, you know, I can't have this death haunt me. And after that, I just sort of like flung myself. I learned a lot from that experience. I flung myself into comedy. I started watching comedy that I don't particularly enjoy, just to get the style. And then I tried to write on that if that was possible. And then COVID came, man. And I started a show, and I started getting opportunities. I started getting knowledge. People started to know me, you know. And then eventually, when the first lockdown ended, I came to Joburg, and I came to Joburg twice over 2 trips, and I had the pleasure of performing about 20 times. Yeah.
Wow, what was this in level 2 and level 1?
Yeah.
And what gigs were open? Santon Comedy Club?
So initially, Santon Comedy Club wasn't open. Initially, it was what was it? It was so Samoka and Doc Comedy had this thing at where was it? I forget the name. Nick's Bar. Shakers was running.
Okay.
Kitcheners opened up, and then there was a new spot that had opened for a time on a Thursday called Kochai, which was literally this underground spot. It's a house, bra. These bras live there, and they have comedy on Thursdays, like in the lounge. Cool. Oh, it was amazing! It's an amazing place. Really, you know, like, yeah. That was quiet. That was in the initial period, but then after that, more stuff started opening up. Like you say, Santon Comedy Club. There was SNL Kentare. I had the pleasure of doing that as well. That was cool, man. It really got me to learn, because you perform on a dance floor with a 360 audience. So like there's guys behind you, on your right, on your left. They try. Yeah. Like, yeah, it was just like try, but it was nice to like get stage movement. And then I performed at a place that I wanted to bring up, because I think it needs to change its name. I performed at the Dunkel Theatre, or as I like to call it, the Schalk Theatre. I think that's what it should be called. Yeah.
I was wondering where this was going, because I was like, why? But yes, yeah, I understand. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who did you go open for?
Suhail,
yeah.
Yeah. I opened for Suhail. I believe.
Yes, I know you did the show there.
I believe the next day or something, very soon after that, you also had a show there.
Yes. Yes, I did have a show there. I love that space because, well, obviously because of COVID, you know, it was one of the only places that we actually could keep it nice and small, you know, and also do half capacity and everything. But just like comedy is magic there, because it's so intimate and it really feels for the audience like you're there by them, you know. And also, Joburg theatres, I find it's hard to get into. It's like weeks of work to book the theatre, to get it on sale and whatever. Dunkelder, you know, it's literally Leonie runs it. She's so on the ball. You send her a WhatsApp. You say what night, what dates you want. She says if she has those dates or not, and then she puts it on sale, or you put it on sale yourself if you've got a Quicker account or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just so effortless, and it's like, and I think it's also a cool experience for the audience because most people who go there have never been there before, and it's their first time. As you know, it's in a house, and it's like their first time watching comedy in a house. It's so much more memorable for me than like just going to a theater. There are theaters in this country that I really, really, really love, and when I'm in that city, that's the theater I perform at. But in terms of that venue, I actually wish there was more of those like house venues where you can go to a concert in a house, because it's like special. And back in the day, like I don't know when this would have been, but like that was a big thing back in the day, house concerts, huisconcerten, where a musician goes and plays in someone's lounge, and I almost want to say probably like in the 70s and 80s and stuff, like in someone's house, and then everyone's there, and just sitting on the floor, sitting on the couch, watching, smoking, drinking, it's like a cool vibe. I watched Stuart Lee in Edinburgh before, and he said that he only does rooms up to 400. He doesn't go over 400, even though he can easily sell it. He can easily sell an arena, because he's like one of the biggest comedians in the UK. But instead of doing like an arena for a week, he will do a 400-seater for 6 months. So he'll take 6 months to make the same amount of money that he can make in a week. But he chooses to do that because he said that, in his opinion, over 400 people comedy dies.
Okay.
That's that was his opinion, like.
Is his opinion that the comedy dies because now there's so many people that even if they don't get the joke, just the fact that someone else is laughing, they laugh in return?
No, just like the intimacy. It's like 400 people. There's still a level of like connecting with them, and he's like beyond that. I don't necessarily agree, because I opened for Trevor Noah at the Teatro, which is 1,800-seater. I mean, that's 4 times the size of 400. And I didn't necessarily feel that the people in the back row weren't connecting to me at all, or weren't enjoying Trevor. So
those guys were on top. I was actually going to bring it up stuff. I was going to actually bring that up because I got here in front of me my actual ticket to that show. Yeah. I was at the Thursday night front row. I was front row when you came on. I was right in front when you came on, and then I realized that I was in the wrong seat. So I booked front row, but I didn't see that I was in row C. And then for Trevor and AKA, I was like but also in the front. But when you were there, I remember watching you like right up front.
Yeah.
You're funny. Yeah. Still got my ticket. But just
That's
before
so cool.
I love Trevor. He's my favorite. I know it's a cliche for people of my generation to sort of, have Trevor as their favorite. But for me, like, he exposed me to comedy, man. If there wasn't Trevor, I don't think I would have been doing comedy. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. I have so much admiration for Trevor, and I think also he's one of my comedy heroes. Also, just because his way of writing, man. Like when I opened for him, and I've tried to explain this to people, but I don't think you can without experiencing it. But something would happen in the news that day, and then I would stay after my set that evening and watch his show, and then he's doing like a 20-minute bit, on it, but it happened like at 5 p.m. and it's
Yo.
like 8 o'clock and he's doing this show, and I'm like, he is literally making this stuff up on the spot because there was no time to perform or go test this material in the clubs, or he's just literally fucking gooing, and it's coming out as pure gold. Like, it's coming out of his mouth as a bit that he's been doing for years.
Yeah.
But that's just Trevor.
Yeah, I've heard from other comics similar things from what you're saying about Trevor specifically, of how you could just give the man anything, like anything, and he'll churn through it.
Absolutely.
But particularly, just to go back to that show, I was there on the Thursday night, and apparently on the Friday night, this was literally all the people in Xeras were posting this shit because Trevor said something about Xeras. He was making this reference to Far Away, and he said Xeras, and I swear the whole Xeras, they were like, yo, Trevor's our boy now. He knows where Xeras. People were excited. Oh my god. But just to go back to what you were saying about Dunkel Theatre, man, I think what's really nice about the place is that the lack of formalities. Because like the owners are such cool people. They're just, regular Owens, just normal people. It's their house. There's no formalities, like, make yourself at home, green rooms upstairs or whatever it is. I really enjoyed it. It was my first time performing in like the theater sort of environment. And it's cool. It's more emotional, I think, because like you say, you connect with it's intimate. But yeah, there was a lot of fun. You were saying that there's some theaters that you really like. What's your favorite theater?
One of my favorite theaters is the George Arts Theatre in George. Yeah, it's like beautifully done inside, but it's like super olden days done inside. They've really maintained it. The stage is still like this proper wooden stage, like you can see the planks of the stage. I don't know why, but just like all the shows I've done there have been absolutely amazing. Like the one show I did there, they phoned us like, I don't know, very soon before the show to start. They said there's load shedding, but they're organizing a generator, but the generator couldn't power all the lights. So it was like literally one light and a mic. And the mic was also like quite soft, because of it couldn't all the things couldn't be on full
capacity.
Full blast. And that, even like under those circumstances, and that just also brought such a special thing to the show, I love the Baxter, just also because like when I started in Cape Town doing comedy, I would go to the Baxter often. I'd go watch comedy there. One of the first live stand-up shows I think I watched was at the Baxter, and I just remember thinking like, wow, this is such a cool theater. And the Baxter is also one of those theaters it's big, it's 600 seats, but it's so steep that the audience feel like they
in your face.
So that's really cool. I love the Baxter. Those are two ones that stand out for me. And also in Pretoria, there's a 400-seater theatre in Pretoria called the Atterbury Theatre. When I started performing in Pretoria, like especially Afrikaans shows, I always did the Atterbury, and I still to this day, that's like my go-to place in Pretoria. And also like the people who come to the Atterbury, like they are theatre goers,
Okay.
Same with the Baxter and stuff. They're theatre goers. There's etiquette, to a certain extent. Obviously, there's always some drunk people, but it's like people who've watched a show before. Sometimes you do shows and it's like, people behave so badly sometimes in a show that you think like, have you never in your life been to a show? Never mind a comedy show, just like any fucking show. Like, have you been to a movie theater? Have you just sat in a chair and watched something? Because You are so disrespectful to what we're trying to do here that, like goes beyond me. But alcohol is normally the
Generally,
culprit.
yeah. What I've
Yeah.
noticed and I noticed this from when I did that Kentare gig, which was really cool for me, Schalk, because I sort of like forced my way into this thing, eh? Um, so Samok, I got to Joburg on a Thursday. I phoned Samoka and I was like, hey man, I'm here, you got anything? And he informed me of Gatsby's, which was a Wednesday night gig in Madran that was running. And he's like, come through. And then I have Kentare, but I don't think you're ready for that, And I was like, okay, cool, but if I'm doing nothing on Saturday, I'm gonna swing by. He was like, cool, bro. Saturday came, I Ubered to Monty. I was wearing a spotty and a hoodie, and I go here to this place, and I just see people from the door getting bounced, guests. I'm like, okay, there's a guest list. All right, this is fancy schmancy. I managed to get myself in there and convince them that I'm a comic. I get inside and they tell me, okay, I'm like, who's coming today? They're like, no, Joey Razdin, Ntosh Madingozi, and Ian Young. And I'm like, shit. Now, for a new comic like myself, that's pressure, man, Joey's gonna be there. And
Yeah.
Ian went first and he was on stage, and this dude, it was the wildest thing ever. He rushes him while he was on stage, because now the stage is the dance floor. This dude stands up and he rushes him. We all thought he was going to hit him, like he was going to hit Ian. And the thing was, he just wanted the attention. And I came to the conclusion
Wow.
that drunk people, when they're richer, because like a higher class of society, they're even more entitled. It's like even worse.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've made a similar observation. Or to you, it's just all drunk people, all a foka.
I would go as far as to say 100% of the time that someone has been like an asshole at a gig or heckling a lot or whatever.
Yeah.
They are drunk.
Yeah.
You need to be a special kind of doers to do that sober.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You have to be a yeah, definitely.
But whatever. It's part of the thing.
Yeah, I mean, when you see that happen, even me, like, even before I was even like in that particular night, I'm also on the lineup. Like, I have to feel like offended because now I'm going next. But even when I was watching comedy like before, it would always like make me feel very awkward, like for that person, like for the guy who's being at worst, like, and for the person on stage, of course. But like you say, you have to be drunk to be. I mean, it's wild. It's wild. I went for the Comedy Central. The laugh. No, what is it? The famous last words. I think it was famous last words. Where they had celebrities and comics.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was at I think it was at, I can't remember where it was at, but I went for that, and there was a dude in the front row who was drunk, and yes, he was heckling everybody, and it was celebrities, so it wasn't like they were comics, you know what I'm saying?
Oh yes, now I know exactly what. Sorry, I was a bit like lost there for a second, but yes, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. And then the best moment was when John Robbie just got on the stage, and this dude told him something, and he looks at him and he was like, I remember the first time I got drunk. And everybody, and we were like, okay, John Robbie, you class. Yes. But that dude eventually got thrown out, man. He eventually got thrown out. Like Joey came on stage with a flower, and a Smarties went to his wife, gave it to him, and gave it to her, and she's like, I'm sorry, your husband's a puss. And he went back on stage.
Flower and Smarties. You're like, only Joey Rasdi. Anyway, we also have to like start respecting ourselves more in South Africa, and kick those people out. We always let it get to like a certain point before we kick them out. But I'm like, just kick them out after the first 2 minutes. That cock will never happen at a Dave Chappelle show. If he's got security there. If someone is being that flippant, like, disruptive. Or even like at the Comedy Cellar, that just won't happen. Like you act like that, you'll be out in minutes. Because now the comedians can't like really properly deliver their art because you have to keep paying attention to this doers. And some people, like, if you ignore them, you can't win, because sometimes you're like, no, just ignore them. Then you ignore them, then you start shouting even louder. Then you're like, okay, let me change my tactic and pay him attention. But then he feels like he's the star of the show, and then he also gets even louder. So sometimes really the only way to get him to stop is to physically remove him from the venue, or her. But anyway,
Sorry, carry on.
No, I was just saying, like, I think sometimes we shouldn't wait for it to get to a point where now the comedians are all backstage and like, fucking hell, this guy's like such a problem. Like, that person must out. Boom.
Yeah. They should address it before it becomes a problem. I get you. However, particularly not disruptive guests, just your general heckler. How do you deal with that? So I've been made aware that so I was speaking to Eric Jansen, and he told me, so you either disarm or you go with them. What do you think? What's your strategy? How do you deal with it? Do you improv with them, or do you shoot them down if you can? How do you handle it?
In that moment, when someone heckles me, I cock myself so much that I don't have time in my head to go, okay, how do I handle this situation?
You ignore it.
No. I just try and pay attention to it, and whatever happens. Sometimes you're more successful than other times. It's difficult because you also don't want to make it awkward. You don't want to shut a person down so hectically.
Too hard, yeah.
And that the audience go, ooh, that was quite bad, or that was quite hectic. It's difficult for me because often I just want to stop the show and I just want to say, do you understand that you are literally ruining the show, not just for the people around you, but for me as well? I came here, this is what I do, it's my passion. I was excited to perform tonight, make the people laugh, and it's been going really lacquer until you started piping up. And do you know that, but obviously that is not very funny, so I never do it.
I feel like
I think what I do these days is I just say in a nice way, I was like, hey, shut up, shush, don't talk, do not talk, just tell them what you want them to do. It's like, hey, please, hey, shush, I'm trying to tell the joke, shush.
Just laugh. Just laugh when I'm done.
Laugh. Thank you. Yeah. But also then, I don't know. But alcohol is a big instigator with these things. I think next time I do shows, I'm gonna try as an experiment to start the show at 7, not at 8, because then people get there at 7, or they start doping at home from 6. You start at 7, you almost don't give them enough time to get so fucked.
Yeah. That was actually the thing, like what I was telling you earlier about that Kentare gig. I got there like half an hour before show starts. The show started 8:30. I was there like 7:45. And when I got there, Owens were drunk, bruh. Like when I got there, everybody was not tipsy. The whole peoples were already drunk. So I feel what you mean. Maybe you should as an experiment try a halal show, no dope, and see what that's like.
Yeah, I think I should. Problem is, I don't think Afrikaans people will come to that.
Fuck no.
I'll be like, what? I don't know. I can't even have a talk. No.
Yeah, it's bad. It's true. What was I gonna ask you? Your top 3 comedians from all time of any era. yours. Don't think about it too much. Otherwise, you're gonna be a while.
Okay. I'm gonna say Casper de Vries. I grew up with him. That was like the first comedy I saw as a kid.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say he's not a stand-up, or he did stand-up like way back, but he doesn't have like specials that we really know today. But Jim Carrey, even though he's not a comedian, the strict, sense of the word.
Yeah.
But he was also, as a kid, like those were my two main inspirations, and still, love both of them. Stand-up wise, I would say, forget his personal life and the scandal and whatever. But I mean, in terms of loving him, when I started doing comedy and really watching all his stuff, is Louis C.K.
Okay. So when you said scandal, I thought you were gonna come out and shoot out the Cosby. Yeah. But okay.
No. I'm talking about Louis C.K. And I just like, when I started stand up, that is who I wanted to. I didn't want to be him. I just wanted to kind of be able to write like that, like stuff that is sometimes, I don't even know how to describe it, man. Like so simple, but at the same time just so layered, and it for me was always more than stand up. And it was like, I remember being a student, that was the only comedy that I could watch on a screen and really like laugh, like just alone in my room,
Okay.
Of course there were other comedians that I really laughed, like, I mean, Dave Chappelle's last few specials, I was laughing out loud in my living room. But with Louis C.K., like, I would have to pause to finish laughing, like I couldn't even deal with how funny it was. So I was like properly sad when that thing came out. And obviously, like disgusted and use all the verbs that you want to use, but but I was like, fuck, man, that is really, it's like really one of my heroes.
Plus, when you look at Louis C.K.
There
himself,
goes my hero. Watching as he works.
If we take the scandal away, if you look at Louis C.K. in an isolated manner, he's probably one of the nicest guys. Like when it comes to the stand-ups, he doesn't seem like he's an asshole. Like, I don't know if you've seen Jerry Seinfeld's Comedian on Cars Getting Coffee, where he went and he did his interview with Louis C.K. and they were like on a boat, just like really like chilled out. From the sounds of it, from what you described, you appreciate like the simple, stupid genius. That sort of thing.
I don't want to like. We tend to, as comedians, sometimes like overcomplicate these things, and really try and approach it from like an academic perspective. And I don't want to overcomplicate why I love Louis C.K. I don't want to overcomplicate what his comedy does. It just tickles me. Some comedians just hit you in the right place. You can't really explain why. It's just like some guys just like hits you there, And with Louis C.K., the interesting thing is, and I ask myself this question every time I think of him, but the whole debate of like, can you separate the artist from the art and blah, 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 when it comes to this thing. And it was a lot of people asking themselves that question with Michael Jackson. Can you listen to Michael Jackson? Can you separate the art from the artist after that documentary came out? I don't know. I don't think you can, because especially stand-up, your art is the person. I mean, a pop star can still sing about some random cock that has nothing to do with it. Kurt Darren can sing Captain, Spandy Sailor, is Darren a captain? No. Does he own a boat? Probably not. You can sing about random crap that has nothing to do with your personal life. But with your stand-up, your art is your personal life. It's talking about your personal life. So I don't think you can separate it, you know. And it's like, yeah, but let's look at Louis C.K.'s art individually. It's like, guys, it's all one. It's like when Trevor got The Daily Show, that becomes part of his art, even though it's not part of his stand-up. But it's still part of your repertoire. What you do in your personal life is always part of your repertoire as a comedian. It does shape you as a comedian and as a, you know, I mean, Dave Chappelle, his wife, it's not like we know who his wife is. We know he has kids. It's not like, okay, now, you know, we completely take him as a comedian who does not have a wife and kids. It's all part of the same thing. I don't know. It's tricky.
Yeah. So
anyway, sorry, I'm overcomplicating things now.
No. I like your opinion, because I feel like, well, it's sort of in terms of separating the artist from the art form. What media has done to some extent is like, okay, it's on you. Can you do it? You know, like in your personal capacity. Can you listen to this person without thinking of that image? But I agree with you. I stand on the lines of where you are. I'm on that side of the fence of it. You can't really separate it because it's intertwined.
Yeah.
However, I just want to mention something, and I'm not just mentioning it because you're in front of me. You said Louis C.K. is one of those comics that just, he touches your funny bone and you don't. I shouldn't have said that with Louis C.K. You know.
He touches my funny bone. He touches his own funny bone, famously. No, yeah, he just like, his comedy speaks, you know, just tickles me in the right place. That also, everything I say now just sounds
just
sexual.
bad, yeah. I was gonna say, I'm gonna have to change my words for this. I was gonna say your comedy tickles me and I can't explain it either, but that's a bad choice of words. But Schalk, on a serious note, when I watch you, man, I laugh, bruh, and I don't understand why. Like, you just say Mensa, and I'm there, bruh, I'm there.
I mean, when I saw your shirt at the beginning of the podcast, I was like, I think this guy will like my comedy.
I wore the shirt just for you, bruh. I wore the shirt just for you. I knew you'd like it. But that also inspires my follow-up question. And this is a very important question. So this question I've never asked anyone before. Okay. And I probably will not ask anyone again after this.
Okay.
Schalk Bezuidenhout, what is your favorite color?
My favorite color is blue.
Oh, I figured. Light blue?
Nah. Navy.
No. Navy? Okay, I didn't figure. I lie, I didn't figure. Really? Navy is your favorite color?
Well, blue, and then when you ask what blue, then I just thought of light blue now. But I mean, like this is quite blue. Okay. You know?
Yeah.
But then I thought of the blue, and then I thought, you know, I really like navy.
Okay.
Midnight blue, as they call it.
Midnight blue. Guys, you've heard it first. Schalk Bezuidenhout color. We've gotten to the bottom of this. I won't lie, I had a feeling, because one thing over the years, Schalk, you've had many jerseys that look like epileptic attacks, but all of them has blue on it.
Really?
Well, all that I can remember. I mean,
no, man. Right.
Guys, sit down, comedy. We're getting an exclusive Corona compadres. Schalk Bezuidenhout is gonna pull out the hoodies fast. Oh my god, are you guys ready?
This one doesn't have blue on it, but it has me on it. This is my favorite jersey.
Oh, it's a cool jersey. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. You know which one I like? You know which one I like, Schalk?
Which one?
The one you wore to the roast of Samizi.
Um, yeah, it was this one, I think.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
She flew on it as well. Uh,
Anyway, yeah.
anyway. I feel like that's your most prized collection. Those hoodies.
Yeah, it is because it's such hard work to find them. You know, it's like really you have to go hunt for them. You know, in hospices you have to dig. It's like literally like working in a fucking mine, like digging for diamonds. And then when you find one, it's like it's not literally like digging in a mine. I mean, I don't know why I said it's literally like digging in a mine. It's probably way easier than digging in a mine. But yeah.
Yeah, but what's interesting is you go on stage wearing those bright colors, fuzzy colors, and I don't know. I've heard from a lot of people that sometimes you shouldn't do that on stage because the colors would what's the word? Would distract the audience. Have you ever heard that before? Or
No, I've no. I mean, people look at what you're wearing the first 2 seconds that
And
you're
then
on
it's
stage, and they
Yeah.
go, "Oh, that's a cool shirt," or "Oh, that's quite funny or interesting," and then they listen and look at you. That's my
Yeah.
experience. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have any experience on the matter particularly. However, my opinion on the matter when I heard it, because like when somebody told me this, they were like, don't dress too busy on stage. And the first person I thought was you. I was like, no, but Schalk goes there and he kills, and he's wearing shit that you can't even describe those colors, and he's doing it fine. I've come to the conclusion that if your shit is good, like if your material, if you are on form, nobody's gonna be looking at your being distracted. Is going to be distracted by what you're wearing.
I mean, I always get confused between Eddie Murphy, Delirious, and Raw, but the special that he's wearing, the red leather
Yeah.
suit. I mean, there's not a more distracting outfit, I think, than a red skin-tight leather suit with your whole chest showing. But yet, people remember every single minute of that special in terms of the materials. So,
Yeah, and it makes an iconic photograph. You know what I'm saying? You have to think about these things. Schalk, now, here's the cool one. You said that in the beginning you opted for comedy because you couldn't get into acting, and I just read an article. 10 years ago you were an extra on Binnenlanders, and now you've gotten a role.
yeah.
How does that feel like?
Yeah, it's hilarious, dude. Like, I mean, yeah, because I kind of forgot about that when I was an extra on Binnenlanders, but someone sent me the video clip because the whole Binnenlanders is on Showmax, and I was like, wow, who watches Binnenlanders from season 1 on Showmax? But anyway. And yeah, so it's like cool to be on the show again, to be able to look at those 2 images next to each other.
Yeah.
But I mean, I was actually on the show before it was a soap. It was first a drama series, and then it eventually went into a soap. Almost like developed over years, almost like Zeerust, ladies and gentlemen.
Only
Main languages, Tswana and Afrikaans.
Yes. That's part of my repertoire. So I can do English, I can do Afrikaans, and my Tswana is fluent enough for you to believe I speak it fluently.
You see, you should do the Knack comedy, dude. I wish I could speak like Xhosa or Zulu and do a full the Knack set. Like, I tried to learn Xhosa at the beginning of last year, and then I blamed COVID.
I
Will
blame
not
you.
continue.
Of all the languages to choose, I think you chose the hardest one. I can't even say Kosa properly. Like honestly. But yeah, I do throw in some vernac around.
Just hold
I
on for a
have-
second.
No problem.
Sorry, I thought there was like a robber in the house, but it was just my dog going oh.
No worries, Schalk. No worries. Imagine if there was a robber in your house and I was just here watching this whole thing the whole time. What would I do? Do I phone the cops?
You can't do
Schalk?
anything. You can just sit there. Ah! Ah! Someone!
I mean, the smart thing to do would probably be to just freeze myself and then just let the robber come and not see me so that we have him on video. Like we could have caught Schalk but say, it's murder on, but you never know. That's deep.
You've thought about this, Mohammed. You've thought about
No,
this.
I haven't.
What would I do if Schalk got murdered now? I would keep still. I would let the robber come.
I'd probably you know what I'd do, Schalk? I'd probably yell at sit down comedy exclusive. Where were we? Africa. So I performed a bit in Afrikaans. So before I hit up the comedy, the poppies and stuff, I was in Matric, and they had like a show in school and a concert. I actually got famous in Zeres then. There was like this concert and I emceed. That's what I did, man. So like when I was 15, I went, I performed, I fell in love with comedy, man. Like I went on stage and I can't describe the feeling, Schalk, and I think I don't have to describe it to you. I'm sure you understand exactly what I'm talking about. And after the show, I killed, man. It was good. Like, but my peers, there was like I performed in front of the whole school, so it was like 500 people, teachers and students, couple of parents, and they started chanting Trevor Mawa.
Mawa.
Trevor Mawa, it just blew me. I was in grade 9, you know how big my head was getting. I was like, but yeah, after that, because of Zeres, small size, there's not much entertainment because of the developing tourism. So what I did, I just used to look for schools, like preschools, whatever the fuck it was, to beg them to MC. And then through MCing, I'd get to like sort of, get my stuff out. Obviously, it's very different, but the last one I did was I did my school's talent show, whatever the hell it was, and I MC'd it, and I did well, and people saw. So straight after that, my primary school called me. It was the first time they called me. I didn't have to call them, and they were like, "Would you come and MC our thing?" And I was like, "Yeah, for sure." And from doing the show at the work school, I got to do a lot of Afrikaans. Because there was the audience, of course, and I was making Hilux jokes and those sort of things. I'm interested to do something like that again, just to see the dynamic. What I was doing in Joburg over this COVID 2.0, I was looking for all of the different rooms, man, with different crowds, different everything, just to see the difference, just to feel it, and see if I can deliver there as well.
Yeah.
What
dude, I mean, that just makes you better, obviously, just to perform to a variety, all races, all cultures, all different parts of Joburg. I mean, I would suggest, as soon as things open up again, take a flight, see it as an investment, save some money, go down to Cape Town, get a nice, cheap Airbnb, go do some gigs there, or stay with someone.
Yeah, I've actually I've wanted to do this for a while because, like I said, from this digital thing, it got me to achieve what I wanted to achieve on stage. So I'm 19 years old now, and technology, fuck it, eerlijkheid, yeah.
Yeah.
I look older than you with this beard, but technology being the instrument of my generation, obviously, when I was 15, I knew it was Instagram Live and so forth. But it was sort of a thing where I didn't want to do anything because of pride, because I thought, I'm talking on a phone, we're having a video call with people. I'm not a doers, And also, it came to the purest mentality. Like, I want to go on stage, and I want the comedians to know me for being on stage,
Yeah.
And obviously, that didn't happen from this, but from this, the exposure was really good. So, like in Cape Town, like I know people there now. But what I really want to ask you is, I've heard this from some of the comics, and I don't know. Is there a difference in terms of performing in Cape Town and Joburg? Is it easier to perform to a Cape Town crowd?
I've always found Cape Town audiences slightly tougher, but that is why I enjoyed living in Cape Town, because I always felt like if I could do well in front of a Cape Town audience, then I don't have to worry about the material in Joburg. I don't think it's not about... I don't know why. Maybe it's because Cape Town is very arty and stuff, so it's maybe just a bit harder to impress them. But that was cool.
You're the first person that's telling me this. Everybody that I ask generally tells me the opposite. They're like, no, really? Joburg is... Yeah, that's why I've been so fixated on this question. Because I've only gotten the opportunity to perform like in Joburg, and the way that everybody goes on about it is like Joburg's the biggest league, like, and then Cape Town it's much easier to kill there and stuff like that. And
like when I do, maybe it's just like my fans then, but when I do new material nights, like in September last year, I did some new material nights, and like I started the shows in Joburg and built up the show in Joburg, and it went really well. And the first night in Cape Town, it was like I had to work, and the show was then already written, basically. I wasn't still figuring it out. Like that was the show.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting, because a lot of people say that especially the Cape Town guys, because obviously they're quite offended by the insinuation that the comedy is of a higher degree in Joburg. But a lot of people, and I haven't experienced it, so I can't comment, of course, but they say it's a preferential thing, like where it just differs from individual.
Yeah, I also, I guess it depends what kind of comic you are. Like some comics write very Cape Town material, like that would kill in Cape Town, and then it's just like not so relevant, I guess, in Joburg, and same vice versa,
That makes sense. No, that makes a lot of sense. For you though, in your comedy journey so far, what would you say was your hardest hurdle?
I would say my hardest hurdle is right now. I think my hardest hurdle is always right now.
Really?
Because every time it's like, where to now? Yeah. When you're young, it's easy because when you're young, it's just like, okay, next gig. As your career progresses, eventually it becomes there's no strategy when you're in open spot. The only strategy is I speak for myself. My strategy was get on stage as soon as possible again and kill as hard as I can. That's the strategy.
Yeah.
There also wasn't a strategy of what kind of material I'm going to be, what kind of material am I going to write? What do I want to say? Because I was like, I just want to be funny. I don't care what material I write if I can just make the people laugh,
Yeah.
But then as your career develops, obviously, then you need to start being more strategic about it. You need to be going like, okay, I've done this and this now. What's the next thing I want to do? What do I need to focus on? What do I need to, you don't want to do too much of this thing, but you don't want to do too little of that thing. And okay, my last one-man show was this. How am I gonna step it up for the next show?
Yeah.
Next time I tour, do I want to just do like Joburg and Cape Town again, or do I want to do it a bit, go to the smaller towns again? If I go to the smaller towns, what will that look like? Where will I perform? You know, it's like,
Yeah.
there's more stuff to consider and worry about and figure out.
Yeah.
But like when you're in an open spot, you don't even have 10 minutes of material, never mind an hour, never mind doing a one-man show, never mind fucking touring.
Yeah.
So you've got none of that stuff to worry about, you know, because you're just like, yeah, when there's a gig again, I'll be there and I'll perform and I'll kill as hard as I can, you know.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about filing your money to SARS because you don't have any money. There's no income tax because there's no income, and I get you, man. I get you. That makes a lot of sense. That's you really, when you said that, you really sort of made me appreciate more so being like, you know, in the beginning stages where I am, you know.
Obviously, it's awesome to progress. I'm just saying it does come with more cock to worry about, you know.
I mean, it comes with the territory, as you said.
Yes. Yes.
How do you go about writing? Do you have a particular method in which you write?
No. I just try and think of stuff and go on stage and test it. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
No, but
really.
When I mean in writing, I mean like, do you write every day? Is there a time slot?
No. So I'll have a week where, for example, like I'll think of a lot of stuff and then I'm like, oh, cool, and I'll write them down. Some weeks I'm totally like uninspired, and then otherwise you start panicking, you know. Like, I don't know, I feel like if I say, okay, I have to write something now and I don't manage to think of anything, I'm like, shit, start going into panic mode. But you know, I just trust it, because I've managed to write a new hour the last few years, you know, so without sort of forcing it. So that's my method for now, you know. Especially also, we're not performing at the moment, so it's hard to feel inspired and write comedy when you're not performing. The thing that makes my brain really work in overdrive thinking about comedy is when I've just had a gig and I'm like, you know, then I'm in that mode.
Yeah.
When you're just sitting at home watching TV, you know, and chilling and working on other stuff, my brain's not in that like material generating mode.
Yeah. It's like coming out of the gym, so to speak, you know. You're not in the environment, it's not. And also, I figure that having a next show to look forward to also motivates the process.
Yeah. Exactly.
You said you did a couple of digital shows. What's your opinion of digital comedy?
I think it was awesome for the time.
Yeah.
But I feel like that time is sort of over now. Like, we're in a weird limbo phase now where we're not trapped inside, but we're not free, but we're not prisoners, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you can go out now, there's no police. You can go, there's a curfew, but you can go sit at a restaurant. You can go visit people, you can go braai at your friend's house. Where in level 5 and level 4, none of those things were allowed. So people were really craving like entertainment or just some sort of illusion of like doing something on a Friday night. So it was awesome, but I felt like it had a time and place.
Okay. I feel you. So you feel that in level 5, because of the demand and viewership, because of the circumstance, there was the time. But but that wasn't what I was really interested in. What's your thoughts on the concept? Like, was it weird for you at first?
Yeah, no, it was weird, but it was like my first gig. The first one was weird, the second one was less weird, the third time was more weird.
Yeah.
Now I almost don't feel more at home anywhere else than on stage.
Yeah, yeah,
So the same with the online shows. It was all it was a new thing. You know, everyone made such a big deal out of it. Like, but you have no audience and you don't. What
yeah.
the? But so what? Like your first time in front of a camera shooting something was also like, but there's a camera and there's a sound guy and there's a fucking this and that. There's no live audience because it's TV. It's like, well, yeah, it's a new thing you're doing. You're figuring it out.
Yeah.
You know? So
Yeah.
we all figured out new things. Like there were people who hadn't even used Zoom before in their lives or Skype before Corona.
One of
You
them.
know? Exactly. And you know, people didn't go, oh my word, and you're sitting there and it's on a screen and you can't touch the person. It's like, dude, fucking figure it out, man. Like,
Yeah.
you know? So yes, of course it was weird without an audience, but I was just like, that was the thing then. So then
Yeah.
we figured it out, how to deal with it, how to make it as I can't find my English now, but like how to make it as as less awkward as you can, you know?
Yeah.
So you yeah, but then the second one was less weird, the third one was less weird. I did 8 in total. So by the 8th one, it wasn't obviously like, oh my word, there's no live audience, fuck. It was just like, yeah, I know how to navigate this.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But like
yeah.
I said, I yeah, it was weird, but it was also special. It was also special because the response was just not immediate, but afterwards, like, I sat in bed for like an hour just looking at people who tagged me in Insta stories. And it was awesome to feel like you could reach people in such a dark time. And people would watch it together even though they were in different households. People would sit and watch the show, and then their friends in Australia would watch the show at the same time. And during that, they would WhatsApp each other, oh my word, did you hear that? Oh my word, did you hear that? It was like incredible to feel like you were one of the things that connected people in that time.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's very true, Schalk. That's very true. Just it gave a sense of bonding, so to speak, with your friends or whoever through the medium of you telling jokes. Also, for me personally, I really enjoy the like you say, the connectivity of it. So that I ended up finding, like, you know, young comics. Well, when I say young, I don't mean in age, but I mean in terms of like career-wise. Young comics from America and so forth, where we just hop up on a Zoom, man, and then we can, like, you know, start doing something. Like the other day, I did this roast room. So it's not like your traditional roast where you know who you're going up against and you write your shit. No. This is more of like a rough and roast, right? So you get there, you're in like a Zoom room with like 6 dudes, and everybody, like, as long you can go whenever you want to, just, you know, obviously not on top of each other, and you're just going, man, and you're just going. And I did like 5 of these shows in a row, man, because I was just having so much of fun, just, you know, talking kak and shooting the ones. Because you see, they're from America. When they roast, they grill, but I'm from South Africa. I braai you, bruh. So I was just having a nice time braaiing them. It's fun.
Awesome.
Yeah. I think the digital spectrum has allowed us to sort of transcend the barriers that we built for ourselves.
Yeah,
what's your
that's true.
Schalk, any last words of advice for me?
Let's look at the Zeerust Wikipedia page.
Look, if you're gonna be basing off my advice off of Zeerust, this is gonna be interesting.
No, dude, I mean, my advice to all comics who've ever asked me for advice, the one or two, is stage time. That's the only advice I can give. Stage time is king, because the way I write and you write and Robbie Collins writes and Trevor Noah writes, it's all different. You'll never have the same process. So, and the only place that you figure shit out is on the stage, And I mean, comedians, we like to sit after a gig and drink until the early hours of the morning and talk about comedy. Because we love talking about it because it's our passion. But at the end of the day, you can talk about a thing all you want, but you won't get better at it if you don't do it. And that's why I always actually, I'm not a big sports person, but that's why I always compare stand-up to sport. Because if you tell a rugby player, like, you can sit around a table with a rugby player and explain how he's supposed to catch the ball and how you're going to pass the ball and then you can talk about it for hours, but you have to eventually get on the field, and that's the only way you're going to get better at like kicking the ball, passing the ball, is by actually doing it, not talking about it. So, you
can't tell him make a diamond and then expect him to catch a ball that's air, that sort of thing.
Exactly. So you have to get on stage and do it, and then career-wise, you'll figure it out, man. Like, you'll just figure it out. You just will. You'll eventually. When I made the transition from doing club gigs to corporate, then that was a new terrain. Then the more you do it, the more you figure it out, the more you learn about clients and like, okay, maybe get an agent, because clients, if it's just you talking to them, that's not so lekker, talking about money with someone. Then the next step was one-man shows, and then you figure that out as well, then you're like, oh, this didn't work because of these things, so next time I'm going to do it different. But you learn from the mistakes you make and from the experiences you have. So that's unfortunately the only way. Obviously in the industry, you've got your friends and you sometimes phone them for advice and you just say, this is the situation, what would you do? But at the end of the day, like, the broader picture is just get on stage and just do the thing.
No, definitely. Thank you very much, Schalk. Not just thank you for coming, thank you for being you being such a nice person, being so humble to interact with, Did you have fun?
Thanks, man. Yeah, thank you. No, it was nice. And I've learned about Xeras. We've all learned about Xeras. And just last note is that if you want to talk to Ramochere, Moaloa, local municipality traffic department, the number is 0186421 075, and that's their contact details.
Schalk Bezuidenhout. Corona
Lekker, man. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming, Schalk. Until we meet again, hopefully we'll meet you on stage soon. Cool.
Lekker. Cheers. Bye.
Bye. I won't lie. I slept with all of the magicians, all of the witches, all of the sorcerers.
Well, you are a warlock.
I am a warlock, yeah, and in terms of if we're gonna go into if we're gonna get kinky and we're gonna say in terms of a animated scene, I would consider all of those sorcerers to be MILFs. So I had to. But there's literally
You're just keeping up the character of MILFs.